Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light, all light, all light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your #1 source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicks your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light, all light, all light. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the #1 landscape lighting show in the world. It's Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. So excited for today's show, you guys. Want to thank you guys so much for your support. This, honestly, it could be a thing, but it probably wouldn't be a thing if it wasn't for you, because you know what? As persistent as I am, if no one was watching at some point, I probably would give up. So appreciate your guys' support. Thank you so much as always. It's always a blast hanging out with you here every week on Lighting for Profits. We are coming to you live from Lehigh, Utah in the Landscape Lighting Secrets Studios. And we're still the #1 landscape lighting show. This week, it's the #1 landscape lighting show in Connecticut. So yeah, super excited about that. And we got a great guest coming on. We got Jesse Loucks. So Jesse is the founder of JL Lighting Design, and he is the president of ILI, the International Landscape Lighting Institute. And I got to know him this past year, and I'm really, really excited to have him on. He's kind of a sleeper in the lighting world. Like, not everybody knows who he is, so he's kind of mysterious, right? So I'm excited to have him on the show because he's got a lot of value, a lot of experience, and just excited to have him with us here today. So make sure you guys stick around. If you are looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, you're definitely in the right place. We're going to educate, motivate to help you dominate. Remember, guys, we are doing a free strategy session. Just go to landscapelightingsecrets.com and you can actually schedule an appointment with me and do a free strategy session to find out if Landscape Lighting Secrets would be a good fit for you and your business. No matter what, it's not really a giant sales pitch or anything like that. It's really just about adding value. So you'll walk away with 2 or 3 things that you can implement that day to have more success in your business. So don't forget about that. Want to thank Emery Allen for their support. All right, guys, you know this. A fixture is only as good as the source of light inside it. This light source is what your customers and future customers will ultimately see at night and will result in thousands of dollars in return business for you, along with glowing referrals. Emery Allen believes every lighting professional should have access to a light source engineered from the ground up, dedicated to high performance when you need it most. At the end of the day, it's what's on the inside that counts. So take advantage of Emery Allen's world-class customer service and get 10% off your first order. All you got to do is email Tom Garber, his email right here. Write it down, tomg@emeryallen.com. Just email tomg@emeryallen.com. He will hook you up with your discounted contractor pricing. So don't waste your time going to the website. Just email tomg@emeryallen.com and mention that you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits. He's going to hook you up with the best possible pricing. All right, guys. Again, in just a few minutes, we got Mr. Jesse Loucks. He's I would say he's a world-renowned lighting designer. He's got a lot of talents. We're going to talk about a couple of them that I learned attending ILI this past spring, and some of the things that that he's got planned for this fall. I'm going to be at the fall session. So stick around for that. Before we have him on, I want to talk about something real quick. When I started my lighting business, it was 2007, and I knew nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing about landscape lighting. I didn't even know the industry existed. I knew absolutely nothing. And they say that you find something you're passionate about, find something you're passionate about, and then do that for your business, and you'll never work a day in your life. That's BS. Okay. Even if you're passionate about something, you still have to work. And it's like, there's days that just don't go as planned, especially if you're an entrepreneur. Okay. Because you can be passionate about something, but there's going to be some days that just do not go as planned, right? So when I got started, again, I knew nothing about landscape lighting, nothing about low voltage. I read up on it. I attended a class. They had these training classes at an irrigation supply house, and started installing. And it only really took like a couple installs for me to realize that my life goal was not to compete for installer of the year. Okay, I was like, yeah, I'm not really interested in winning the installer of the year award, which does not exist yet, by the way, but maybe someone should come up with that. And so naturally, I stepped into the sales position. My brother and I were partners. He was like MacGyver. I mean, he was like, hey, just tell, like, if you want to get a light somewhere on the house or in a tree or whatever, just tell him we can do it, and I'll figure out a way to get there. And it was cool because I came up with some pretty creative places to put lights, and he always figured out a way to get the lights there. So we had different skill sets. But when I started meeting with people, I had a little bit of success or whatever. It's not like I wasn't closing any deals, but I wasn't closing every deal either. And especially early on, I had a lot of people asking me the same question. A lot of people kept saying, well, what happens if you go out of business? And I was like, at first I was just like, dick, like, what? Who are you to ask me what happens if I go out of business, And just because I'm young doesn't mean I can't be successful, right? And I took it personal. And after a few smart aleck comments like, well, as soon as I'm done putting my going out of business plan together, you'll be the first to get a copy. I mean, I would literally say some of those things. But instead of like just getting mad or frustrated, I decided to do something about it. So I realized I was coming off as young and inexperienced. And so I could sit there and argue with these people all day long, like how I was going to be successful and how I was going to change the world, or I could just change the perception, right? So I just decided I would work. I decided I would provide so much information and excitement that they wouldn't even have room in their mind to think the thought, what if this guy goes out of business? And guess what? It worked. And so when I started closing more deals, and instead, you guys know how it is. Like when you don't close a deal, sometimes you reach out like, hey, what was it? Was there something we could have done? Yada, yada, yada. And most of those people don't get back to you. Some do. But instead of just asking the people that don't move forward with you, start asking the people that do move forward with you, hey, why did you move forward with us? And at first it might come across weird, like, man, why'd you go with us? We don't even know what we're doing, or we're overpriced, or like, what's going on? Like, it's like, no, we really want to understand your mindset. What were you looking for when you first called? What were you expecting, and what did you receive? And like, try to get into their minds, because this is very valuable information you can use in your marketing and your sales efforts, right? So when I started asking people, hey, why did you move forward with us? There was another common theme. Before, people were asking me like, well, what happens when you go out of business? That was like a common theme. Now people were saying, whoa, we just felt so much more comfortable with you. They said, it just seemed like you knew more. Right. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, I don't know. There's no way I know more than the guys that have been doing this, 10, 15 years. And I'm only 6 months in. But that was the perception. So we don't always have to change reality. We have to change perception, right? Because there's no way I knew more than the other people that they were meeting with, because I was the new guy in town, right? I was just more excited. Okay. I gave them what they needed, what they wanted. And I just want to share that with you, because no matter where you're at in life right now, maybe you just started, maybe you've been doing this 10, 15 years, revisit your sales process, revisit your excitement. Especially if you've been doing it a while, sometimes you forget how exciting and life-changing and transformational lighting is. Like, it's amazing that we get to be in this industry, and we get to provide not just the safety, the security, like those cool things of lighting, but literally, like, we can change people's lives, right? It didn't used to exist talking about mental health, but lighting can help people not be depressed. Like, this is a huge thing, right? So get excited about it, like get reinvigorated about it, and see if that doesn't change the success of your next lighting design meeting, right? And so the other day we had a guy come out. We're considering getting a pool installed at our place. We had a pool in Texas, and I was like, there's no way I'm getting a pool in Utah. Like, that's dumb. But now I'm like, okay, fine, we'll get one. I give in to everything that the wife and the kids want. I learned years ago I'll never win. So I just the only thing I haven't learned is like I just need to give it in earlier. But I fought it for years, and it's like because I was like, we're not getting a pool. We have rivers and lakes. That's what you do in Utah. You just go hit the rivers and lakes. But they don't like that as much as I do. So anyway, we're considering getting a pool / we're getting a pool, and we had this guy come over, and it was terrible, you guys. Like we were so excited. We're like, man, this is gonna be so sweet. I got this like idea of this like pool and these waterfalls and this really cool design in my head, but like I'm not a pool designer, so it's just in my head, right? And like I've got like this really crappy drawing on my phone or whatever. And I was just like, man, what's this gonna be like? Like, how's he gonna help us realize our dream? And like what other I'm wondering what ideas he's gonna have that are gonna like squash my dream and just make my dream look so small and all this stuff. And so guy shows up and he just kind of like does he I answer the door. He like doesn't even know what to say almost. And he's like, all right, so where should we start? I'm like, I don't know. Did you just ask me where should we start? Like, I don't like you, this is your thing. Like I'm not selling you me selling me a pool. Like what's going on? It's just like you got to take control of the situation, you guys. Like I'm living this experience of like grab my hand, show me exactly how this works, right? So when you're going to a prospect's house, like you're the professional, right? So he finally starts to walk toward like the back windows. We're still in the house, and he looks outside and he's kind of looking around. He's like, "All right, so should we go out back?" I'm like, "Yeah." I mean, I guess that's probably where we'll do the pool. It's like, should we do it in the front or the back? Let's just do the back this time, I guess. Um, but it was a terrible meeting, you guys. Like the sun's like glaring in my eyes, and he's standing, so his portions to the back of the sun. So I'm like squinting, like glaring at him, and like the sun's hitting my face and everything. And he just kind of starts measuring stuff. Like he's like, "Well, where are we gonna bring the equipment in?" I'm like, Probably like right here, where like you just like take the fence down and like again, like why am I answering these questions? Like these are questions that you should answer for me. And he measures everything, like, well, how big do you want the pool and all this stuff? And I start kind of revealing my vision. I'm like, well, here's what I'd like. I don't know what's possible. I don't know how to do a pool here in Utah and Texas. These were some of the things they could do there. I know that the ground's different here, and we got the freezing aspect that we didn't have there. So, educate me on some of those things. And just every idea I had, he's just like, nah, we don't do that here. No, we don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. We don't do that. Like my dreams were just crushed immediately. I'm just like, okay. So then what we just like get like a rectangular like thing, like a pool with just like a rectangle. I mean, it was so depressing, you guys. And again, like if I wanted a rectangle, like then I would be super excited, but I just didn't want a rectangle, right? And then I start talking about like how I want this waterfall, and he's like, "Well, yeah, that's pretty expensive." And I'm like, is he using one of my tricks on me where you like challenge people like they can't afford it, or like is this I can't tell if this is like intelligent strategy or if he's just thinks I can't afford it. And so he starts throwing out some big numbers, and I was like, okay. Um and then what? Like I don't know. Like I didn't feel like they were too scary. I was like, yeah, I want a pool and I want these things. So if I want those things, then you just tell me how much it is. And then I say yes or no, or we rechange things. But it was just bad, you guys. He did a terrible job pre-qualifying, finding out if we were serious or not. Um, and I get it. Like you should pre-qualify. You should find out if people are serious, all that. But his was like over the top. Like, I mean, he wanted people to like get on their hands and knees and beg, like, please work for us and please build us a basic pool and show us that you don't know what you're doing. Like it was just really weird. So I got all my ideas shot down. Bottom line, I just want to encourage you guys, work on your presentation because this guy's probably been doing it a while. He's probably busy enough where he just doesn't give a shit, and he's just like, well, I don't care about these people. He wears a t-shirt and shorts and flip-flops, so he obviously can't afford me, whatever his perception was, right? But um and honestly, he may be the best pool builder around. If I find that out, I'm gonna be disappointed because I'll be like, I have to call a guy back. No, but I'm not gonna use the guy. I couldn't use the guy. I felt disrespected. I didn't feel like my ideas were valued. It just felt like a waste of time. I was just like, man, just a bad feeling when you're about to fork that kind of money over to someone. Like you need them to be excited, more excited than you. You need them to be like the visionary and help guide the discussion and get you excited and all this stuff. So um you want your clients, your prospects, you want them to be excited. You want them to find ways to make, you want to find ways to make what they think is impossible possible, right? You want to build trust. You want to do all these things that this guy didn't do. So, encourage you guys to go practice. Professional athletes, they practice, 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 and then they do the thing. So, family, friends of friends, go practice your presentation. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if someone calls me in the next few weeks and says, hey, you know what's crazy? I went and practiced. I told my family and my friends that I just wanted to practice my presentation and ended up closing a sale because of it. Like, that will happen. Someone will get so excited because of your excitement and be like, you know what? We weren't even really considering lighting, but now that you mention it, like, it would be really valuable. Let's go ahead and do it. So hopefully that happens. If not, then I'll be like, yeah, it was a terrible idea. Don't practice anything. But no, dude, go practice. And I promise you, you're going to see better results and not end up like the guy that was trying to sell me an expensive rectangle. All right, guys, it's time. Let me know if you're ready. I'm ready. It's time to get to our guest. So let's get the music going and get Mr. Jesse Loucks on. What is up? Welcome to the show, Mr. Jesse Loucks. How you doing,
Hey, Ryan?
buddy?
How you doing, man? Good.
Doing great. Thanks for being here, man.
I like that intro. I might start a new website, mysteriousjesse.com. It's subscription based, and I could, maybe bag this landscape lighting thing, right?
Yeah, for real.
That sounds like a moneymaker, maybe.
Yeah, there's so many directions you could take that. Mysterious Jesse. I mean, it could go, one industry to a wrestling industry to, a lot of.
Yeah, I could get one of those, the Mexican wrestling masks, and
yes,
yeah, I like that.
Maybe, are we brainstorming ideas for like an Illy after party or what's going on?
Oh boy, I joke. I used to be the entertainment director at Illy, but I've hung up my spurs. Other people are taking over the reins. Getting too old and climbing the trees curtails my late night involvement. So I think you'll have to steer that question to some other guys.
Yeah, no, you're right. You deserve the night off. Let's say that. But is there a chief entertainment officer? Who is the?
I think it's I think that's kind of a what is that a down on the DL, right?
We can't. Yeah, we're not supposed to talk about that.
Right? You gotta show up, cut your teeth a little bit, prove that you're worthy, and then you'll be offered the the secret.
Well, I guess, that's the only bad thing about live shows is I probably shouldn't have even brought that up. Now it's just awkward because then people are like, wait, there's insider secrets and there's all this stuff. Yeah, so just pretend that you never heard what we just talked about. There is no entertainment officer.
Absolutely no way. No champagne room.
That's awesome. All right, man. Well, I'm excited to have you on. I absolutely loved my experience with Illy. I got to meet you. I got to meet a ton of people. And, I was kind of surprised because I'm like, wait, Jesse is the president and he's awesome and he's got tons of experience. Why is Jesse mysterious? So I want to kind of unpack that a little bit. And then I'm going to encourage you to come on here more often and we'll do some social media stuff together to help promote Illy and the cause.
That would be awesome. Thank you for your support. No, it was Illy's a great organization. I've been a part of it. I guess I'll let you do the questions, but I was going to say I took the class in 2008 and I've been a part of it since 2011 and met a lot of great people. I think we've empowered a lot of people to advance their careers. So it's been a wonderful trip.
That's cool. So let's talk about your kind of journey in the lighting industry, electrical. When did you started off as an electrical contractor? Is that right?
Yeah, I started off slave labor for my father, probably since about 11 years old and summer breaks. My father is probably the hardest working guy most people know. So he was going to raise me the correct way. So it was early and often as a young guy on the job sites, which is fine. But he taught me the value of hard work. I went off to college, went to University of Illinois, spent a year in Boston with a buddy of mine who went to BU. And then Dad made it worth my while to come back and take over the contracting business, which was, at the time, it was just Dad, myself, and one other fella. We got up to 7 guys at one point. There was so much work over the past 3 years that a couple guys went out on their own. So it's down to four employees and myself. So it's a small company, but we are in a very rural area of Connecticut. The town is about 3,000 people. So it's very rural, small, quaint New England town. We're about 2 hours outside of New York. So it's Lakeville, Connecticut. We're 2 hours north of New York and maybe 5 minutes from the Connecticut or from the New York State border, 10 minutes from Mass up in the northwest corner. So there's some, most of the electrical contractors are in that 2 to 6 person range. So we're right there. There's not a lot of, there's definitely room for work, but I don't think that there's room to scale like I think that you've talked about on some of your previous podcasts. We're nowhere near a big city, so we don't have population density. But yeah. It's a great place to raise a family, and it's a good place to grow up, and we definitely reap the rewards of a lot of money coming up from the city. So
that's cool. Yeah, it sounds like an awesome place to have a small business like you've got and have that family lifestyle. Yeah. So you got the electrical background. When did you get introduced to, outdoor lighting, landscape lighting, that side of the
Sure.
business?
So, as an electrical contractor, you're asked to do exterior lighting. And so, back in the day, that consisted of putting a floodlight under a tree and on a light switch and calling it good, right? I mean, here's the invoice and everybody's happy, because before it was complete darkness and now, oh my God, there's light outside. So I started to want to learn how to do things. There's good, better, and best of everything. So I kind of wanted to start to learn how to do things a little bit better, a little bit more nuanced. And I happened to find, I had taken other classes down, Coopersburg, where, no, not Coopersburg. It's Cooper Lighting in Peachtree City, Georgia. So Coopersburg is Lutron, excuse me. So I was going to Georgia for some other lighting design classes offered by Cooper Lighting. And one of the upcoming classes is back in, I think, 2006. So one of the upcoming classes was landscape lighting. And so I decided to take it. And unbeknownst to me, it was being taught by this lady, Jan Lennox Moyer, who I had no idea who that was. That's awesome. I remember a funny story. So you get there the night before and, everybody commiserates and has a drink or whatever. And then we all pile onto the shuttle bus in the morning to go over from the hotel to Cooper Lighting. And I sit down and there's 2 women behind me, and I was kind of eavesdropping, listening to what they were saying. And they were like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to meet Jan Moyer." And I'm thinking, who the hell is Jan Moyer? Like, no idea, right? And so Jan Moyer was sitting in the seat in front of me. She turned around and she goes, "Well, here I am, ladies." And they were like, super, they were kind of embarrassed, super excited. But at that moment, I was like, okay, maybe this is something, right?
At least you didn't say your thoughts out loud. Like, who the hell is this Jan Moyer lady? And then she's right in front of you.
It was pretty comical. So then when Jan was giving her opening PowerPoint slide, the first slide came up was Jan Moyer Design, and it was 518 was the phone number. And I recognized the fact that 518 was just over the border from me. This is when Jan lived in Troy, New York. So it turns out she was about an hour and 10, hour and 15 from where I live in Lakeville. And we got to talking, took the class, obviously got to talking. And then she introduced me to this intensive course that she was offering at her house in Troy, which was then called the Landscape Lighting Research Center, TLRC. I can't remember. It was the former iteration of ILLI. Okay. And so that was in 2006. Met Jan down in Atlanta, came back and took the class in 2008 at her house. And
how many people were
there? I got
there?
my ILLI ball rolling.
How many people were at that class?
Yeah, that's a good question. So there was 9 of us. My class, there was 3 groups of 3. So my group was John Fletcher from Kansas City, who I'm still great friends with.
Nice.
And Pete Jackson he was from, I think, Lower Pennsylvania. And Pete and I kind of fell out of communication, unfortunately, but he was a great teammate. We had a lot of fun together. But there was 9 people in that class. And Bill Smith, I don't know if you know Bill from AOLP. Yep. Bill was in that class. Jim Ply from California was in the class. Fellow by the name of Shannon Markey that works at Qtran. He was in that class. We had Jerry Carter from Excelsior Lighting took the class that year. There was another fellow, Oscar Welch from Florida, older gentleman. But there was 9 of us, and that's the one thing that happens at Illy. You really get tight with this group of people that you're kind of in that crucible with. So got a lot of fond memories of 08. Another That's funny cool. Story. John Pletcher, I didn't know John Pletcher at all, but and I was a younger guy. I was probably early 30s when I took this class. So I'm an electrical contractor, and I'm thinking I'm going to dive into this deep dive of this class, and there's probably going to be a lot of egomaniac lighting designers, a lot of pricks at this class. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just like this young, inexperienced puppy. What am I doing? So we had to check into this place called the State House in Albany. And I'm checking in, and this fellow who turns out to be John Pletcher was in front of me, and he had flown out from Kansas City. So I think maybe he had a lot of connections, or he was tired or had a late night, but John was grumpy, right? And so I just kind of introduced myself to him, and he was like, nah. And he had on a blue sport coat, and I thought, here we go. Here's a real prick, right? I got to deal with this. Yeah. So the next day, we are at Jan's, and we have our lanyard on with our name, and it's got a little a color code on it. And we were the red team. And then I look around, and there's this guy, John Pletcher, and sure enough, he's got a red button. I'm thinking, man, I got 5 days with this guy, right?
That's awesome.
But John and I got to be great friends. We had a little too much fun during that 08 session, which that would be a good interview for you to have. But John and I have still been great friends, and that was 08, and 15 years later. So
that's cool.
So
guy, and was that everyone's first time? All those names that you named, that was their first time going?
Yeah, that was the 08 class. There was 9 of us, and I can name 5 or 6 of us off the top of my head. So yeah, and there was another guy, Larry, and he brought a guy, and that one fella, his employee was one of the funniest guys I ever met. Oh my God, he was a riot. But I can't remember his name, but we had a lot of laughs.
That's cool. It's interesting.
And you had to have a lot of laughs because Jan ran that thing like a drill instructor, man. It's intense days. And so after the class, you'd blow off some steam and have some laughs with the guys. And it was a lot of fun.
I felt like you call it an intensive course, and it was intense. I was like, I was kind of hoping we'd have a little bit more fun. I was like, when do we get to relax? Like,
yeah, I mean, the class is it's 8 in the morning till 10:30 at night, and you've got a little bit of breaks, and obviously we're going to give you time enough to eat lunch and dinner, but
barely.
The class is very scheduled, that's for sure, and it's good because I think as the old saying goes, idle time is the devil's time. It's good to stay on task and stay on a schedule, and people are paying a significant amount of money and foregoing 5 days or a week of work and family time. So if you're going to, I always feel if you're going to go to an event, let's make it worthwhile. And I think that the IC is more than worthwhile. I think you definitely get your money's worth.
No, for sure. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, that's cool. That's how you got your start into it. And then obviously I feel like, a lot of people that I met Jim Pletcher at this last one, and some of the other names. Jim Ply. I didn't. Yeah,
no, actually, Jim Ply wasn't there last time. John Pletcher, you're right.
John Pletcher. John, yeah.
Sorry.
I was confusing the names, but yeah, John Pletcher was there, and he wasn't grumpy at all. In fact,
no.
He was smiling and he's cracking jokes, and he
having a good time.
He was way cool. So
no, and that it's kind of up to me. There's a little bit of a committee, but it's kind of up to me to decide who comes back as a mentor, and that's obviously you want people with acumen. You want people that know what they're doing, that can share knowledge, that are experienced, that are personable. But you also need people that are a little lighthearted, that can keep the mood going. Because like I said, when it's, day 3 and you've been up now, it's, 3 or 4 14-hour days. It's easy for people to get a little tired, a little grumpy. So you need some of that positive energy. And John definitely brings that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I thought it was great. Yeah. Well, I'm excited because I get to be. This is my first time as a mentor. I mean,
so you better be positive.
All right. Try to find. No, I'm excited. I'm already positive. So
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah.
It's
good. Thanks for accepting the invite. I mean, it's gonna be good to have you back.
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast. I understand there's you have to earn your rank. So I'm starting at I was like, just put me to work. I guess I'm going to probably be washing dishes, delivering you like breakfast in bed. Like what other types of things will I be doing as mentor?
If you knock on the door in the morning, no, I don't think so. But there's different roles for different people. I mean, I think that some people want to be a lead mentor. Some people don't want to be a lead mentor. Some people want to be kind of a boots on the ground, maybe a rover role where you're definitely the nuts and bolts, the guy that's making the connections, the guy or the gal that's bringing equipment out into the field. A great example is Ray Arneson from Tampa. He wants to be in charge of the garage. And before Ray came around, there was always somebody in the garage, and it was kind of run maybe a little haphazardly, and that person would either be in the garage or they were somewhere else, but Ray has accepted that role, and he knocks it out. He does a fantastic job for us. So the garage is organized. Ray is there. Ray will answer your questions. He does a great job for us.
Yeah, he's like old standby. He kept everything just smooth, and
he is.
It's going to be done. So,
and that's another guy. You crack that shell, and he's a kind of a riot, actually.
Right.
When you first meet him, he's very deadpan, but Ray's a funny guy.
Yep, exactly. Yep, you just got to get him talking.
Exactly.
All right, that's cool. So, all right, and then how did you become president of Illy?
Yeah, maybe nobody else wanted it, right?
Yeah, was that they're like, this guy?
So let's see. I came back. So I took the class in 08, and then I would get, since I was so close by to Jan's house, and this is back when the class was always run at Jan's house, which is Troy, New York. And so it was once, sometimes twice a year. And so I would go back. I took the class in 08, and then I would just go back because you just want some of that energy again every year. So you'd go back and meet the new crop of attendees and reconnect with Jan and her husband, George, who again has got stories for hours. That guy's lived a life. So I would go back, and then I was asked to, actually I was at the final dinner in 2010, and Jan goes, "I'd like to announce that Jesse Loucks is coming back to be a mentor next year." And nobody asked me if I wanted to come back to be a mentor. Jan pretty much volunteered me. So of course I accepted. It was a good honor. So that was 2011. I started as a mentor, and I've actually mentored at every class since. I think this is going to be the 15th consecutive mentorship for myself.
That's impressive. 15 times in a row.
And kudos big shout out to my wife and family that allow me to do that, because it's, you're away and you're not, as you know, you're not going to make a fortune being a mentor at Illy. It's definitely
it's a volunteer thing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went back in 2011, and then I was asked to join the board. I think it was 2012. And then we had some upheaval. Jan moved to Illy, had some upheaval. Jan moved to Arizona. Illy found a home at University of Oklahoma. And I don't know if I'm getting my dates right here. I guess I was, when Jan left, then I became president, and then we moved to Oklahoma. Oklahoma found us with the help of Jan. That was in 2000, maybe 17. I think I've been president since 17. Moved to Oklahoma. There was had a good year at Oklahoma, but then there was a change of president at Oklahoma, and the new fella decided that we no longer fit his purview. So we were kind of homeless with a lot of equipment and a lot of great people involved, but without a home base.
Yeah.
So Illy had to kind of reinvent itself at that point, moved West Jackson and his dad, Scott, kind of Jackson Lighting Supply in Dripping Spring, Texas. Wes was on the board, and they were gracious enough to store our equipment until we got our ducks in order. And there was a lot of time and personal money by the board that was donated to keep the ship afloat. And we kept it floating, and now we're on a pretty good trajectory. So it's exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's cool. Like, I know this session in the fall sold out really quick. So,
yeah, we're already sold out for Mercer Botanical down. It's just north of Houston. I think it's Humble, Texas, but it's just north of Houston. We're already sold out for that class. So, and there's a wait list for the following class. So,
how do people get on the wait list?
Probably be in the spring. We don't announce locations early. We might announce it now that this class is sold out. But
how do people get on the wait list if they want to come in the spring? Because that one's going to sell it even faster than the fall.
Yeah, I know. We've kind of got a tiger by the tail with us now. I think that you can go on the website, and I think that there's a tab that says register for the IC, but now I think that kind of indirectly means waitlist for the IC.
Okay.
Which is great. I mean, and like you said, and you asked me how many people were in my class in 08, and there was 9 of us. Well, there's 27 attendees now this fall at Mercer. So first time that we'll have 27. I think we had 25 last class in that you were at in New Harmony in Indiana. But yeah, the demand is there. And now equally as importantly, our mentor base has grown. Like I said, I'm kind of in charge of deciding who gets to come, and I try to mix in some people that have been with us for a long time with some new blood, because we don't want to wear people out. There's the mentor team is usually between 16 to 18 people per class. So I don't want to keep going back to those 16 or 18 people and wearing them out 2 times a year. But now it's almost to the point where I have to disappoint 5 to 10 people that really want to come back to be a mentor and essentially volunteer a week of their time for not a lot of money. It's pretty amazing, but the upside of that is that we now have that mentor pool to select from to keep 2 classes going every year. So the Illy is definitely as strong as we've ever been. I mean, I remember there were some lean years, and now that we've got a little comfort, little cushion, it feels almost weird.
Yeah, like wait a minute, we got the wheels aren't going to fall off. This feels good.
Yeah,
I like this.
Man.
That's
we
awesome.
were a ship with no home, so it was great.
One of the things I learned about you is you're like this expert tree climber, and everyone at Illy, like it's cool how you have it arranged, because you have different mentors for different reasons, different specialties. Like you said, sometimes it's just making light of situations, whatever. But you're like the tree guy. Where did that come from? Were you just born climbing trees, or like how did you become the tree guy?
Yeah, I'm the Illy tree rat, right? I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I can get up and get down safely, and I've been doing it for a while now. After taking the class, visiting or initially meeting Jan in 06 and seeing her slides and her, just talking about the importance of having a tree climber. And then I took the class in 08, and at that point I was just doing everything off a ladder. And I recognized that I couldn't get to places that I wanted to get, and the places that I was getting to probably weren't very safe. I was doing that lean off of a ladder and
one leg of the ladder, like just get it right there. Yeah.
Right. And everybody wants to go home at the end of the day. And I was young and dumb, but even I was apparently getting smarter. So I decided to find a tree climbing class, and I took it down. I think it was a 3-weekend class down at the New York Botanical Gardens. So, like I said, I'm roughly 2 hours away, and it was a Saturday, Sunday thing. And I think it was three weeks long, and it was called recreational tree climbing. Now, everybody there was probably about 15 of us, I would say, that signed up to take this, and there was two lead instructors. But I was about the only one that wasn't an office person. In other words, these were kind of just middle-aged office New York City people that thought it was going to be cool to hang out in a tree for the day, but they had no muscle. And I'm not a big guy. I'm not trying to say that I'm like, John Kenny's going to laugh if he ever sees this.
Let's see him. Let's see those guns.
Yeah, my guns.
Yeah.
He always asked me if I kept the receipts for my gym membership. But I was the only, I was a country kid, so I was just country strong, right? And I could get up the tree, I could do the rope. And so one of the instructors, they were so bored of the people that could get like 4 feet off the ground that one of the guys kind of took me under his wing and would bring me up and down the tree and show me some tricks. And like I said, I'm no expert, but I can get up and down, and I've been doing it since 2010. So like you were saying, you and I were joking before, that if you do things enough times, you slowly get better at it, and you learn tricks on your own. And so I've done a lot of my own climbing. I've climbed for other mentors, just a couple of months ago, I was out in Illinois with Greg Matthews at a big project. He flew me out to climb a large American elm, which is an absolutely stunning tree. It's huge. And so, I've gotten a little bit better, progressively better over the years. And it's exciting to offer that at ILI. I think it's one of the more popular lectures of the course that I give, working with a tree climber. I think people are excited to learn about, tree climbing or working with a tree climber and maybe getting off a ladder or getting to places that a ladder can't get you. And then, as you know, I'll set up a rope in a tree and have the attendees, the ones that want to take a crack at getting up the tree, put them in the saddle and see what they got. And I'm always impressed that, when I first started doing that, 2 or 3 people would say, okay, I'll give it a try. Reluctantly, you'd have to talk them into it. And now there's like 8 or 10 people that say, heck yeah, I want to try to get up the tree. And you were one of them. And it was awesome.
I'm already committing for this next time. I want to get higher. I want to get faster. I want to get better every time. I want to be like,
funny. Chris Affelstad.
Yeah,
I think I'm pronouncing that right. In Ohio, he just sent me a picture today. First day up in a tree. He bought all the climbing gear, and now he's hanging lights in a tree today in the mid-90s in Ohio. I said, dude, I'm saving all my climbing for next week. But
I think it's
great.
awesome.
Like there's another guy in Connecticut, Chris Grafe, who took the class. I can't remember when, but he's climbing now. There's a fella, Jack, out in California. I know that his boss is going to get him some gear, so it's fun. There's another guy down in Texas, Brandon Kuehler, who's climbing as well. So, and they all just, got to be under the bonnet at ILI. So it was fun to train those guys, and hopefully they can take my place one day at ILI, because I'm not getting any younger.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, I think you're being super humble about your expertise, because you've done it so many times that you make it look easy, right? And actually, when my company in Texas, we had climbers, and we learned from a friend who was a tree trimming company. And we first hired him because we didn't know how to get that high. So we hired his crews to like hang the lights for us. And then he's like, here, I can teach you guys. So we bought all the stuff. But
cool.
I think I did the same thing. That was like probably 15, 16 years ago. I'm like, let me try, I could climb this tree. And, I made it look really, really difficult, but I'm going to get better. I'm going to get faster. And it's all about the technique. And after I did it the first time, I was like, and then I watched someone else. I was like, okay, now I know what he was saying.
Yeah.
When he says hump the tree, right? So I just got to be a better humper. I mean, that's really all it is.
You got to get that hip thrust going. But I mean, that's what it is. It's all technique. You get that momentary, weightlessness, and with the hip thrust, and you've got to pull the rope, advance the line. There's a whole dance that goes along with it. But if you do it a couple thousand times, you progressively get better at it.
Well, you mentioned getting hired. Greg flew you out there to work on that project. Another benefit of ILI is just the connections, right? And
Absolutely.
relationships. So
Yeah.
not just like, connecting and like, oh, this is cool. Now if I have an issue or if I have a question on climbing, I can just call Jesse and like he'll help me out. But you've actually done projects like multiple states around the world. Like what other states have you worked in and countries? Like where has
Yeah, so I mean, Illy has gotten me to a lot of cool spots. I mean, obviously Texas, and we were in Indiana together. Greg got me to Illinois. We did the class at Jan's new home after she moved from Troy out to Rio Verde, Arizona. So you get to climb a whole different group of trees. You're not climbing cactuses; there actually are climbable trees.
Wow.
In Arizona. Yeah. We had the class. I think it was 2017 in Japan. That I was part of the team that went over to Japan to do a actual installation. So I've been to the Bahamas on a project with Jan. Like the places that landscape lighting has gotten me is, starting off as like this small town electrician, and then all of a sudden you're flying to Japan to.
I know.
Do
That's what I love
landscape
about
lighting.
it.
Yeah, it was. You kind of
You talk about the small town, 3,000 people, with you've been to some really cool places because you discovered landscape lighting.
Yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
it's not lost on me. I mean, I do a lovely estate down in Greenwich, and then that fella gets me up north to a place in Vermont, and I've been to Maine with Dr. David Breary. He's one of the mentors. He does the pruning lectures at Illy, and I've done some work with David. He's such a great guy. He was one of my everybody has a mentor, and Jan has certainly been a mentor for me, but Dr. Dave has also been a mentor. He's just an excellent human being and somebody that you can talk to about so many other things than just lighting. He's got a real easy way about him, and I've enjoyed meeting him over the years.
That's awesome.
But getting back to your point about connecting with people, you go there to learn about lighting, and you learn a hell of a lot about lighting, and you can connect with people and ask them future questions about lighting. But I've met some dear friends at Illy, and I don't want to sound too corny, but people that really have been impactful relationships in my life. So it's been great. And like you were saying too in your intro, it's going to Illy for me. Like everybody's like, why the hell would you go 15 years in a row, right? Don't you know it all? Haven't you listened to all these lectures? I mean, and so I don't go to a lot of the lectures anymore, I will admit, because I have heard them. But but just meeting new people and you're doing something different. You're changing gears. It goes a long way to recharging your professional life back home, so things don't get stale. I mean, the people that you meet do that. The new products in the industry that you're introduced to with Illy, and especially over the past 10 years with the whole not evolution but revolution of LED into the industry. Now you have to remember, I'm old enough to be doing all halogen when I first started out, and I've only kicked that halogen as a lot of people chide me on the only a couple of years ago. But it's been a huge revolution that you have to keep up with the new tools in your toolbox that you can use. So it's been a great experience to keep going back to Illy and to recharge and just get those juices flowing again.
Yeah, you talk about a good point, and you guys have that. You have that element where manufacturers come in and they present, and not only that, but like you got, I don't know how many different manufacturers. It's like a playground where you can just play with all these different lights, and there's really no other place in the world where you've got that opportunity to play around with different things. So that's really
I think that's definitely what sets us apart. I mean, I think that everybody probably has had their fill of Zoom over the past 3 or 4 years with COVID. So we offer the more of that hands-on experiential experience that you're actually going to get your mitts on a lot of different. I don't even know how many manufacturers are. I mean, we have 5 main Sequoia sponsors, and then an oak sponsor that contribute a lot of product and material, and big thanks to them. But we also have some legacy product from years ago when Jan was running it. So there's a lot of different fixtures. There's a lot of different LED drop-in lamps. We're starting to get more linear. there's just a lot of material that you actually get to put your hands on, plug in, make it work, and see what it looks like at night. So on vegetation. And I don't know how many, I'm sure that a lot of people are familiar with the intensive course, but basically all the attendees are split into 3 groups. You're assigned a region of the landscape, kind of a theater, a little composition room that you are instructed to design. And sometimes it's little, sometimes it's quite large. I mean, we've had over, I think there's been 70, 80, 100 fixtures out in a group before. So there's a lot of experiment that goes on, and I think that that's the value that Illy brings, and it's kind of the differentiator that we have in the industry.
Yeah, so many good things come of it. Number one, you get to design just based off your design. There's no limitations on budget or anything like that. It's like, okay, what would be best for this? And it is cool because it's several nights. So you start with one conceptual design that then you're like, oh, it doesn't look like I thought. And so you're changing things around. And to your point about different products, like, okay, I knew what a ring light was, right? And I've even used one before, right? But to be there and be able to play with it in different situations and test it versus a downlight that just you climbed a tree forest that was like 50 feet up or something like that, and see how they mix and just all sorts of things. It really does open up your mind from a design standpoint, so you're not just so focused on the regular like 4 to 5 products that you're used to using, so it was super beneficial having that opportunity.
Yeah, I talk about that in my intro
stuff,
speech
but
on.
it just helps it get better,
Yeah, I talk about that in my intro speech on Thursday night, when everybody gets together for the introductory dinner, and there's the 28 attendees and the 18 mentors, and so it's a pretty good group of people, and we all have a drink and get loose, and then we have dinner and get to talk with each other, and then I give a little spiel, and one of the things that I encourage people to do is get out of their ruts. Like you said, we all have these go-to products that we use and that we're familiar with, and not in a bad way either, because when you're in business, you have to know what you're doing, and you have to put these fixtures in the ground, and you have to make money doing it. That's kind of the point. But Illy is the opposite of that. I mean, you're not, everybody knows what they know. You're supposed to show up at Illy and learn things that you don't know, and try new things, try new techniques, try new fixtures. And like I said, that's the benefit of Illy, is that experimental, hands-on aspect that we provide.
Yeah, highly recommend. Again, you guys, if you're wanting to come this fall, I don't know, get your name on the wait list in case someone cancels, I guess. But it's sold out extremely fast. I know the spring is going to sell out fast too. So go check out. I think is it illyedu.org?
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. So go check that out. Everyone there is extremely helpful. I met, I would say a ton of new people, and my goal to be involved with Illy is to just help you guys get the message out. I'm like, I was telling Jan too, I'm like, you guys have this like amazing thing that no one knows about.
Yeah.
Like, how come I never knew about this? Like, I never even knew about Illy, and then when I did, it was kind of like, I didn't know like anything about it, so that's going to be my goal, is to help spread the word. I thought it was a great program, and I don't even have an active lighting business right now. So it's not like I'm like applying these new design principles, but I'll tell you, it does change the way that I teach. Not that, I mean, I'm still focused. I'm a business guy. I'm trying to help people go from operating their business to owning their business. We need extreme profitability for that to happen. There's a lot of stuff that I teach. It's just gonna change a little bit of the element. I encourage everyone to be a better designer, a better installer. It's not just business, but I'm the business guy. There's really no one else teaching that out there in the industry. And so when I found Illy, I'm like, dude, this is dope, because if people are coming to me for design advice, I'm like, I don't know, just put it like 62 lights on those trees and it'll look good, and sometimes it does look good, but now with Illy, there's like a purpose behind it, and it just helps you advance your mind so much. So I'm grateful to be part of it, man.
Yeah, I'm really, when you're talking about the business side of things, I think that's great that you bring it, because what worries me sometimes is that there's attendees that show up and they learn a lot. I mean, you forget more than you learn at ILI. I mean, there's just so much information. And that's part of why a lot of mentors are clamoring to come back, because they just want that refreshed. But to my point, that a lot of people leave and they have all this new information, this design information, and I'm afraid that they might not be able to sell it. You know, they do need some sort of business training, and we just don't have the time. I mean, we've already, like you said, the schedule is packed. It's super dense. It's 4 days long. Everybody says, gosh, we need to make the class shorter. And then everybody comes up with these new ideas for new lectures, and that's only going to make the class longer. So I don't know if that's going to be an advanced class that we can somehow work into. You know, currently we do have an advanced class. For the first time this year, we're having an advanced photography class where we're going to cap it at 6 attendees. Tim Ryan from Lighthouse and Tony Lato, old friend of mine from Connecticut, they're going to run this advanced photo class concurrently with the intensive course. So the students will have some classroom time to learn principles and Photoshop and use all the different settings on their phone, but then actually go and apply it during the IC so they could practice these nighttime shots. So that's super exciting. We're jazzed about having this advanced class. And so maybe there might be an advanced tree climbing class, who knows? And then there could be an advanced sales or running your business class by ILI. But these would be secondary offerings. We just can't cram any more information into the 5-day intensive course. Yeah, you're right. There's no, like you said, like, how could we shave a day? I don't know that that's possible, because you're already cutting out stuff. You could add, 14 more things. So, yeah. Okay, man. Well, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, and it was great meeting you. I look forward to future endeavors with you, and I'll see you here soon in Houston, man. You bet. Thanks for having me, Ryan. Good seeing you again. All right. Take it easy. All right, guys. You guys have an awesome week. Don't forget iliedu.org if you want to get your name on the waiting list for the next one. Guys, keep moving forward.